the pre-order for Bloody Sepulchre, which is coming out April 14th. So just under 2 weeks away. I'm playing around with Kindle Create using, I'm trying to make the version that is adjustable. I've never really done that. I usually do like direct translation of the PDF, and that is throwing me a little bit because you can only import doc or docx. So I'm trying to sort it out, trying to figure it out because it's new for me. Have you used Kindle Create in general?
No, I haven't tried to look at that stuff in a very long time. When I tried to do it like 10 years ago, I couldn't make hide nor hair of it. So it was very frustrating.
Oh, it's pretty easy.
I didn't find it so. But you would know, you know what's up. It's just, I couldn't figure it out,
Yeah. I think for me, if you're putting graphics in and stuff, the direct PDF translation is really good. Oh, let me bring Heidi up. It makes it really easy to do that. Particularly like if you're doing like full bleed for the images and stuff like that, that's super great. For this kind of adjustable version, it's kind of throwing me a little bit because maybe I just need to I need to use page breaks. That's probably what the issue here is, if I had to guess, just off of what I'm kind of seeing in general. It mostly has to do with using like enter or return to break up the lines, and I think that's what's throwing it. So I'm going to go back to the original document and see if I can fix that there. Fix it before we get to the actual Kindle Create side of things.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Who does your layout?
What software?
Oh, I was talking about laying out Bloody Sepulchre in Kindle Create for the ebook, and I've been doing it with enter, and I think that's causing some problems for me. So I need to just do page breaks instead. Is my guess.
I've noticed all those softwares, they argue with each other, and I'm of the opinion that it's a conspiracy. They're doing it on purpose.
You think they're doing it on purpose to you?
I do.
Maybe.
Well, it's like Word won't talk to InDesign, and then InDesign doesn't like exporting EPUB file. It's just, they make everything overly complicated. I don't understand why. It's like they just don't want to play nice with each other.
Well, they're all different file formats, and like Word particularly has so much formatting information kind of occurring in the background. It's a really heavy document format for that. That's why I have been using PDF and just doing like a PDF version, and then basically pulling that into Kindle Create, and that way, like whatever I did the page layout as on the PDF is like what you get in the ebook. That's not ideal, but it's what I've been doing. So let's see if I can figure this out while we're hanging out.
Well, the PDF you want the PDF's great for the hard copies because it's solid. It's where when you're getting into the ebooks is where I think the problem comes up for me is that it wants a certain format and
Depends on.
you want that fluid format in an ebook is what I'm saying. I think most people expect that.
No, that's why they give you a variety of options when you open up Kindle Create. As I was explaining a minute ago, a lot of the stuff that I've done is image heavy. So reflowable is not a great option for a lot of that stuff because it basically will throw off what you have done with the page layout if you make things reflowable and the pictures may not correspond to the text as you intended. Now, if you're all text, reflowable makes total sense. And that's what I'm trying to do right now, in fact, because the Bloody Sepulchre is all text except for one image. I'm doing the title as the kind of branded version of the image, and I'm not sure if that is throwing it off. Maybe it is, but I suspect it was the page breaks, and we're about to find out because I'm reloading it and I updated the app as well. So let's find out here together on the program. Oh, you got the open mic going on this week too? Spoken word poetry deal?
Yeah, we have this new show, the poets Doodle Slice and Paulette Hampton and I. It's like twice a month. We have a poetry read, and we invite people to come read their stuff. Got big plans for that this year. Looking forward to seeing what happens.
Okay, reporting in, it was that. So as soon as I changed it over from using enter or return to create the gaps and used page break, it fixed it. So now we're all good. So now you guys know as well. So now it's reflowable. There are a couple of small issues I'm gonna fix. Not really big issue stuff. Mostly I had moved some text around just for me using enter in various places because of the way that it was falling on pages, and I'm just eliminating that stuff. So pretty minor, but yeah, I would say that page break thing, that's made all the difference, and now it's working properly. I just have to pull it into this other thing, and let's take a look at the preview. Let's see what it does in preview. Oh, it's still putting the copyright on its own page for some reason. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe I can fix that. Which is, that's not even the worst thing. I might not even mess with that, but it is pushing that over to there. Let's see. Tablet looks fine. Oh, no, it's still pushing the copyright. Phone. And that, again, like not the end of the world. It's just kind of goofy. Yeah, this is, I can live with this. I'll be honest. All the text looks right now. And it's technically reflowable. Yeah, just that one minor issue was really kind of the problem there. And I think it's, that was my fault that I had used enter instead of doing the page breaks. That's just a bad habit that I have. It's just because you can hit return a bunch of times really fast instead of going up to the menu and hitting enter page break from the menu. But, just being lazy, stupid. Hey, for the folks that are hanging out, this is a super casual space. you're welcome to come on up and talk and ask questions or promote your work or anything you like. We do it every 2 weeks, and it's pretty chill. It's not really meant to be anything in particular. So if you want to talk or if you want to hang out on stage, just grab a mic. Not a big deal. What have you guys been working on? Heidi, I know what you've been working on. You've been working on the audio book, banging it out. Did you get all the chapters recorded, or what you had recorded, edited?
I did a couple yesterday. I don't have it in front of me. I have 4 more to record, and that I think about with that, maybe 7 or 8 still to edit.
Crushing it.
So, I mean, with a book that's 47 chapters, I feel like I'm getting there. So the audiobook, I could probably finish it this week if I I couldn't. It's my goal, but I couldn't really record yesterday because the weather was terrible. We had wind and rain and everything else, which, would have been ambient, but a little distracting.
If you had that kind of chapter, it could have been really great, for the audio drama version.
The audio drama. That's a step I'm not going to take. I don't even know how many hours. This is probably 14, 15 hours, maybe.
No biggie.
Yeah, I just, this has taken me forever because I've had some pitfalls and some detours trying to get this done. And I'm finally, figured out how to do it. So, I think I'm just going to stick with a straight up audiobook because I still got a couple of other things I want to get out.
Narration only, as we say in the audiobook space.
Narration only. So I'm doing that, and I've got the I'm reworking some other stuff. So the infamous novella that you keep telling me to gut, which I will not gut.
Gut it.
That's not getting gutted. It ain't happening.
Rip it apart. Tear it apart.
Nope.
Do it.
I stand firm.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm looking for that next draft.
Oh my God. Yep. I've been tinkering with the structure I've been tinkering with it this morning in my head, shall we say.
Overheating.
Yes. I'm figuring it out. I'm finding my anchor points, shall we say. Because that middle section is staying. It ain't going nowhere. It ain't going nowhere.
We'll see about that. We'll see. Damien, Dr. English, if you guys want to come up and chat, you're welcome to do that. Just grab a mic. This is an open conversation. We're all friends, and this is your opportunity to be friends with us as well. I do record these sessions and then put them out as a podcast. That is why it says session recorded, even though it's not recorded on Twitter itself. You can check out the old sessions on my podcast. It's available on all your favorite platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts and such. It's on YouTube, wherever else you like. Ricky, what have you been working on? You are a prolific writer, and I'm sure you're either getting into something new or getting close to finishing something we've been listening to you develop.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. I'm throwing down chapters on the Book of Draken. I wrote half of one yesterday. This is Book of Draken Part 2. The Book of Draken is a trilogy that I've been trying to work on since 20 years ago when I was a bohemian, just living on a mattress on a floor somewhere. And it's a dream coming true. And I wrote the first one I wrote last year. That was a dream come true. And this one is a dream coming true. Really great, fun. Every chapter's been a blast. It's got a great pace. I'm just stoked. The other thing I've been doing is I've been gathering my my spoken word projects. 20 years ago, I was a spoken word artist. I put out a CD back when those things mattered. It was called Machinations of the Cybernetic Phantom God.
Great title.
Yeah, we called it Technoetry because it has a soundtrack. It was all mixed on Fruity Loops for nothing, so the quality is not that great.
But the price was right.
Yeah, it was. I just had to take some cats out to the diner every once in a while, and it was worth it. But
is that a euphemism for something?
What?
Taking the cats out to the diner.
Yeah, well, my friends, oh,
it is.
Yeah, it's just the whole beatnik angle. No, I didn't take Boo Boo Feets out. He wasn't even in my life yet. But we had a lot of fun making it. The poems are all over the place. Some of them are like almost sacred, and some of them are like nightmares. And it has a vague narrative flowing through it. But it's been so long since I put out a spoken word record. So I went to all my Posey and I'm like ripping it apart. So I have like the equivalent of 5 now, including that original one. And my intention is to publish them all in a pamphlet, like a 15K pamphlet on Amazon. And then I'm going to do shows. Like I'm going to read 3K of each. Like each section's like around 3,000 words of poetry. I'm going to read them all on a show, and then that'll help promo the pamphlet because I'm trying to get some other poets in print, like Mount Timeless Review, which is this magazine that Tom Tiernan and I work on behalf of the Mountain, among other people. But the goal would be to get a collection together like every year of poetry and spoken word performances. If they're translatable, if they're functional to be translated to text, if they're just performances, then that's a different matter. I'm also getting a website built for Mount Timeless Productions.
Huge.
Yeah, that was when I made my little announcement the other day. That's what it was about, because it's saving us a lot of money, and it's looking really good so far. Like I'm really thrilled.
You guys are making moves. Happy to hear that. Wait, so you were announcing the announcement, because I don't feel like I heard an actual announcement for this website. I feel like this is the first I've heard that.
Yeah, no, it's not. When it's ready, I'm gonna put it in my profile on X, and I'm gonna post it. I found the moment I found out that it was on the move, like she was gonna be designing the site. I was like, I was like, big things for Mount Timeless today, because it's like it is. It's like I've been a dummy with that. Like I should have had a site a long time ago. It's just depending on who you ask, it could be a lot of money. I have another question for you too, Michael, actually about X.
Perhaps I have an answer.
Yeah. So when I drop something like a link for a podcast or a post, it asks me if I want to boost visibility. And when I go in there to follow up on that, it gives me 3 options. It's like 50, 100, I think, or like 300.
Mm-hmm.
And have you heard about that advertising? Like, is that worth anything? Is it just he's raking money and doing that?
Probably with those defaults, he's raking money in. But what I would tell you is if you go into the proper ads management dashboard and you set up your, you customize it so that you're doing it basically like where you're bidding for clicks and you lower it down to like a penny. I hear that's a good way to do it.
Oh, okay.
I cannot advertise on my account. I'm banned from advertising via my account. So
what on earth?
Well, I thought it had to do with one thing, but now I'm realizing it may have had to do with another thing that I did. It is what it is. What can we do, when we cross these imaginary boundaries and, there's no way back, that's all right.
What did you do?
What did I do? I advertised on Twitter years ago, but I think like there was a residual amount that was not paid on an ad for like a number of years, and it sat there like that. I didn't know. I just never looked at the ads platform again for like almost 10 years. So when I went to look into that and do an ad, it paid off that first, and then it would not allow me to initiate another ad. And then when I asked support, they're like, you can't advertise on the platform, and this is non-negotiable. It'll never be reversed. You're never going to be able to advertise through your account. And I was like, all right, well, it is what it is.
That's kind of harsh.
That's goofy, because if you knew how much the residual amount of money was, it's like laughable. it's a comedically low amount of just, it's the hanging chad of unpaid advertising bills. That's okay. No big deal. I'm gonna have you run an ad for me on your account.
I knew that was coming. I was waiting for it.
Need you to run this ad for me.
They probably let me do it. I haven't screwed up yet, so at least not that I know of. Who knows?
Who knows? Down in the deep, dark recesses of the Twitter servers, you're getting all kinds of checks against your account. Hard telling, really. Yeah, but that hopefully that clears that up for you, Ricky. I'm sure that you are in all of the good graces, and they love you and they want to take more money from you.
Oh yeah, definitely. They love my money. I won't deny that.
Yeah. So there's always that. There's lots of platforms to advertise on. I would say experiment, see which ones work. But before even doing that, I would actually advise to exist on a bunch of different platforms. Take your brand on the road and go start up Facebook pages and Instagram and all the rest, and kind of see, where you're getting engagement, where you're getting traction, and what works for you. I still advocate for communities and groups across the board. Those are great ways to extend organic impressions. I get purchases of one kind or another every day. So for $0. So in that sense, give that a shot. But if you want to scale up, you're going to have to advertise in general, I would say.
Yeah, I was debating it, just wondering if it made any difference on this particular platform. It sounds like you're saying that I got to go into some kind of settings and mess around with that. There's some sort of sub-tab, like settings, engagements, something like that. So I didn't even know that existed, to be honest with you.
Yeah, there's an ads dashboard. Here's another thing that you also have to have. You can't have the lowest tier of premium. So you would have to upgrade to, I think, the middle tier of premium, which I think you have because you guys are blue checks. I'm not, and the idea of having to pay money to then also pay more money is egregious in my opinion. It just seems real backwards to me. Just let me spend my money. Don't make me buy these things that I don't want. Like a premium account, I don't want that. I don't need that. There's no features of that are in any metric way beneficial, in my opinion. I just can't imagine. If you guys, I see you guys have that. Everybody else has that here. No offense or whatever. You keep sending money to the billionaire. It is what it is. Suckers.
No, I get it. He has lots and lots of money. I get it. It's just, what are you going to do? I mean, these things are all owned by these giants. I mean, everybody who, I mean, I get certain people are all offended by billionaires, but it's like, well, you're on social media, so you can't hate billionaires that much.
Right.
They're all loaded. I mean, it's like, what are you supposed to do?
Well, I like talking to you, Ricky. I got to be here if I want to talk to you.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why I don't get all heavy with that stuff. But it is what it is. We live in very contentious times, so I understand how people feel.
I just think that in general, my involvement on social networks is of a productive capacity. And so, putting media out on these platforms of any kind of like creative labor, I just think that I'm happy with these platforms taking a cut of that. That is totally fine when I'm making a sale, because they're a distribution channel. That's fantastic. But let me sell. Let me sell. You take a cut. I take a cut. That works. But making me pay first, pay to play, is not cool. It's not cool to me. Which is why we like Amazon. We like to put our books up there, and other platforms for the audiobooks. They are building out the distribution platforms. They are attracting the user base, and creating these wallet experiences, and I am populating the content, and I drive the traffic. Sometimes their recommendation engines recommend my work, sometimes, but a lot of times, it's just on the back of the promotion that we do. And it's like, man, if I didn't have to use Twitter as a way to move eyeballs to the books, and I was able to sell the books through Twitter, well, that's a different story, right? If I could just push ebooks right here, then I'd do that. I'd do it natively. I'm fully on board for that. Don't charge me to do it though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to get a lot of people, a lot of poets specifically, into these spaces, and obviously it's meant to extend the community and support people, as we were discussing the other day on Heidi's show. It's like, I want to help people, access their creative potential and amplify their muse.
You're doing it. Where are you finding all the poets? Where are you gathering these people up?
Well, mostly other poets know poets, because they go to open mic spaces, and there are a few on here. Some of them are, again, it all depends on what you're looking for. Because some of them are like, it's music, it's spoken word, it's slam, it's poetry, it's everything. And others are just, I'm reading poems off the pages. That's all I'm doing. If they're mine, if they're someone else's. So if there are poets on here, which I think out of the whole writing community, I don't know how many there actually are, because the whole thing is rather limited. But I want to be able to do that, because one of the things I was mentioning, I'm trying to get all of the spoken word albums, the 3 of them that I theoretically have, dating myself with the term album, but I'm trying to get them all together, because I want to publish them, as I said. But I would also like to make a Mount Timeless Review, like an annual poetry issue, where we have like the 4 for the 4 seasons that cover prose, and there's poetry in there too. But I mean, just a strict book of like poesy from a bunch of different people. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it's all going to depend, because I don't even know if I get enough people, enough submissions, etc. Maybe it can happen.
Right. Yeah. No, I like it. Do support.
Yeah. I mean, it's just I especially if it's beautiful stuff. You know, I don't think there's enough of that in poetry today. I've talked with poets, and many of them lament about how, you know, the actual state that poetry is in today. And I feel like as I started as a poet, I feel like I owe it to that muse to try and you know, help everything out.
I hosted an open mic for a number of years, long ago. There was something I was going to ask you. Oh, this is what it was. You know, what is the state of poetry today?
Well, this is according to a former associate of mine.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't really speak with him anymore. And I'm not speaking disparagement of him. We all have our own problems. It's just I don't know. Poets are a very interesting kind, and I include myself in that. From month to month, it varies as to whether or not I'm a poet. But this month, I'm a poet. What has been conveyed to me is that there's an overwhelming presence of gatekeeping. And I will not get specific as to what the gatekeeping involves because
What does the gatekeeping involve?
Well,
I've got to guess.
Well, anybody that wants to guess, and I'll neither confirm or deny, I mean, first of all, it's all racing through our minds, what I'm talking about. We have a deeply polarized political system and a culture war. And poetry is meant as a vehicle to exercise certain aspects of that, especially if you go back to the beatniks. I mean, Ezra Pound also was very political. But if you go back to Ginsberg, I mean, I have the complete Ginsberg winking at me from over on the shelf over there, the big red one. It's a tome. It's thick. You can murder someone with it. And it's like, there's great poems in there, but it was very, very political, and it needed to be because of the nature of the 60s. So we're in a similar tumultuous time. It's just, it's not, you're not allowed to express rebellion. You're allowed to express a status quo, one of two, one of four, maybe. And otherwise, it's like you're not really allowed to do much of anything. And this isn't me. I didn't go to this. I didn't go to this academic program. This is this person who was talking to me about it, and I've heard other people say the same thing. That it's very, very gatekeeperish. Like there's only certain people that are ever going to get through the door. They have to conform to certain things. And I believe in merit, and I believe that if you're writing something beautiful, that you should have a chance to, you know, express it, and we should celebrate it. I don't think it should be this guard tower of doom where if you don't behave the correct way, we don't, you know what I mean? We don't let you even through the door.
Tear down that wall, Mr. Olney.
Yeah. Mr. Garbage Trough, tear down that wall. Yeah, exactly. We say that all the time in my house. I mean, you know, Gorbachev wasn't such a bad Soviet compared to the others. You know, he was a little bit rational, so I shouldn't chop him down so quickly. It's just, you know, at the end of the day, it's like that's what we're contending with. We're continuing with this absolute partisanship and party-mindedness, and there's just no agreeing to disagree. There's no appeal. You're either this or you're not. And poetry, freedom of speech is very important for the expression of the soul, for creativity. And it helped me get to where I am, where I throw down these delicious chapters. And I'm satisfied, deeply satisfied by the work. And it's like I wrote poems for a long time. I feel like I owe that, you know, that muse. I owe it something. Anyway, I'm probably beating a dead horse, chopping it in half by this point. But I think you get my drift here.
Chop it up.
Well, I would just say, yeah, I mean, this is the problem I think that we're constantly having, right? It's like everyone's like, the best thing I ever did is like years ago, there was some band I really liked, I was like 14 or something. And I joined their fan club, and I get this letter back from them, and they're like, and they literally wrote in it, and I'll never forget, we're open-minded people who want nothing to do with people who aren't as open-minded as us. And
Beautiful.
I was like, that was the tip off right there.
That's fantastic.
I was like,
oh, that's so good.
wow. I know. I was just like, okay.
Nah, I'm hip. As savage, it can get very nasty. And I have a poem called Cults, and it's just a list poem. And it's not my fault if you go, there's something on that list that bothers me. It's not my fault. Maybe it's the fact that you're in a cult. Maybe that's what you should wonder about. If it pertains to you, because I'm not calling, and the poem doesn't call anyone out. It doesn't mention names. It doesn't point in directions. It just says, you're in a cult if this, and it's just this. So I'm just like, well, if that tickles you, if you feel like there's some kind of dilemma there, then maybe you're in a cult. Maybe you should, be in a cult, but just don't, leave me out of it. That's all I'm saying.
Interesting. Damien, I'm trying to bring you up. It says connecting, and then you don't connect. I don't know what happened. I'll send you an invite and maybe we'll do it that way. Otherwise, Damien, if you can hear, take a lap, like exit out of the space and then come back in and try and rejoin. We've had this happen before. But yeah, I am definitely trying to get you up onto the stage. And I would say just, give it another shot. Just like maybe close out the app and then come back in and then come back to the space. That way we can get you up on stage. Definitely not trying to gatekeep you, definitely want to give you the mic and hear what you have to say. I don't think you've been here before, so if you can hear me now, give that a shot, and then we'll be here. We're hanging out. We're just
I know
chatting.
Dave. He's an artist. He's been an architect older spaces.
Oh, okay.
He's quite a good artist, a real artist, aka non-gay.
Okay. All right.
I think he's gonna give it another shot.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's got stuff to say on this topic. I'm sure. We've talked about it before.
Yeah, we like people to just do their thing and put it out there. It's gosh, I don't know. There's this word like zeitgeist or whatever, and I think that like if you are attempting to be a part of something like that, then it's not necessarily the real thing. I think you kind of have to like after the fact, basically. Here, let me send you an invite. After the fact, you can categorize these movements of expression, but at the time, it's maybe more culty. I don't know. Who's to say? I'm not worried about that stuff. I just write my little stories. I make my little video shorts. I do these audio books. I'm not an artist. I don't know anything about that. Make some music every once in a while. Some of it's even original.
That AI thing you did for Bloody Sepulchre is pretty impressive.
Which part?
The video you did.
Yeah. So the music and the imagery are AI.
The music is AI.
Correct.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's sort of Gregorian chant.
Yeah, that was in the prompt. Gregorian chant was in the prompt.
Well, you nailed it.
Hey, it knows. It knows what I was asking for. I did have to like hit it maybe about 10 times before I started to get something that I was, and I, tweaked the prompt and stuff until I was finally getting something that was doing what I wanted it to do. Same thing goes for the images, and, you dial in on this stuff, you get it to compose an image for you. And this is an interesting thing because Runway just released Gen 4. So now I am probably going to rerun a lot of those and see what I get out of the new engine. I know I haven't talked about this in a while, but I am still producing the videos for Volume 3 of Exploring Our National Parks. I'm actually getting quite close to almost done doing that. Gen 4 has been fantastic. Really, really intelligent model. Understands space and objects within space very, very well. Even better than Ray 2 from Luma, which I really liked. It's doing an even better job than that, in my opinion. And it's making me say, hey, maybe I need to go back and regenerate some of the clips that I've been generating for the last couple of months for some of those older ones that you've seen, Heidi, because the new model is so much better than what I had, that I can get an even better result out of it, and ideally turn out something good. That's the thinking, that's the plan, that's the hope. And I really like those things for creating promotional, little supplemental promotional pieces for books or whatever else, consumption. You're here, you're connected. Are you out of the tunnel? Are you on stage? Can you hear us? Are you live? Hello.
Yeah, what's up, guys?
Hey, what's up?
Sorry, I'm just a little nervous, that's all.
Oh, you don't have to be nervous. We know you. You know us. You hang out. What are you working on? What are you doing? Where are you at? What is your social security number? Your zip code?
I'm just, I don't know. I would like equate it to just letting my autism kind of just be what it is.
Rip it.
Which is something that I never really do.
Yeah. Well, it's a superpower. Take advantage of it. Put it to work.
I'm having fun in history, that's for sure.
Are you writing history stuff?
In a way. Right now, I'm kind of just covering like major topics, so then I can give reflections on things. Because I feel like with history, there's just so much to it that you can't just say a statement about something that's going on. You kind of have to have all this shit behind you so that it stands on something. Otherwise, you just kind of sound like an asshole.
To a degree. My first book was history, and look where that got me.
What do you do exactly?
I write these books. Work in media, work in marketing, advertising. But here, for this stuff, primarily, I've got a couple, I would say like journalistic sort of things. I got a couple of books on marketing and branding as well. And then I've got the new stuff that I've been doing for the last 2 years is fiction. And that's very fresh to me. I only have like these short stories. I don't have any novels, like some people do. So I find it to be a good exercise, and I like doing it. It's just, I approach it from a very research-oriented process in the same way that I did with, say, like the Chicago 1893 book and documentary. It is not necessarily the same type of stuff, like kind of like I'm doing video with some of it. I'm sure you've seen some of that stuff along the way, and I'll then take those videos and turn those into short stories. I actually was working on the short story for Anunnaki last week at some point. Dope. Yeah, so that'll come out, I think, in the summer. It doesn't need a whole lot of work. There were a couple of places where I wanted to punch some stuff up a little bit, but I think for the most part, it doesn't need a whole lot. So it's gonna be kind of short, to be honest with you, but it'll have a lot of the still images that I created for the video mixed into the ebook, and then I'll do an audiobook reading of that and put that together as as we were talking about before, as an narration only version, and then it'll have an audio drama version. So I'll go and grab all of those sound effects that I used in the video originally, place those into the mix. I might even put some of the original music that I wrote for that video into the audio drama mix as well, just to give it a little bit of life and pace. in
When
there.
you say video, like a YouTube video or like a
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
okay, dope. So all right. So you were the one who recommended earlier, right? Like spreading out to multiple platforms.
Yeah, that was me talking about that. Yeah, I talk about that in the marketing books and stuff.
I want to do that, but I can't. Like I don't feel like my content fits anywhere else. Like if I try to put it anywhere else,
You just have to uh, give it a shot. Give your stuff a shot and see if people connect with it. And also, like, there's the long tail of distribution. The Tartaria video that I put out last year, while it had a lot of activity early on. Damien, can you hear us? Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh,
Can you hear
and you're
me?
on stage. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, let me just finish what I'm saying here, and then we'll get to you. So that had a really big spike of activity when I first put it up on YouTube. And over the resulting year, since I put it out, literally it's been 1 year and a day. It's gotten like 70,000 plays. So even though like in that first month it got, the bulk of the plays, let's say it got like 30,000 plays or whatever, over the resulting year, it's gotten a bunch of plays too. And you never know how you're going to need to use these things. So like let's say for example, like the Bloody Sepulchre video, that promo video we were talking about, it's on Twitter, right? But not everybody that I'm connected to is on Twitter. I'm putting that stuff everywhere. And also, when I put those videos onto YouTube, it means that I can use that video as an embed in blogs or on websites or in press releases and XYZ. So you kind of want to distribute these things around to become tools that you can reutilize and, move eyeballs and direct traffic across the web. And that is valuable to me. And that's a lot of why I do that same thing. Also, this is funny too, because like the Tartaria video that I put up on all platforms a year ago, for some reason over the last month, it's been getting a decent amount of engagement on Facebook. In just the last month, people have been liking it out of nowhere. I don't know how they're finding the thing, but stuff happens.
and I'm looking at your page too. There's just a nice breadth of content. Like it's not static. It's not the same shit you're used to seeing, which is what I like. So I hear you. Thank you for those words. How do you recommend being like an edgy artist, but trying to get your audience to understand like I'm not talking shit about you. I'm just talking shit.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Everybody's going to take everything personally. So, that is our nature. I don't know how to combat that. That is just the way it goes. And, and I'm guilty of that too. I am a sensitive young man and I take things personally as well, try not to, but who amongst us? And, oh, Ricky, you got your hand raised. You're thinking thoughts. You have something to say.
Yeah, well, I was moved by what was just asked as far as like, this theoretical concept of audience control. And, well, when we were all kids, they used to ask us like, what you wanted to be when you grew up.
A motherfucking hustler.
Yeah, right. No, but the point is, when I was a kid, it's like first grade. They asked me, and all the other kids were like firemen, policeman, lawyer, doctor, all that jazz, right? I said stand-up comedian on a stack of waffles. I was the only one in my school that ever said it. And when it comes to this type of audience control, I think in terms of stand-up, because it's like you have your act, you have bits in your act, and you have crowd work, you have heckler work, you have all these different dimensions to what's going on in the room. And the best way is authenticity with comedians. The comedians that are true, and that aren't like just, hacky or saying what they have to say. They actually have like, method. I think that's what you have to do. You have to anticipate crowd work. You have to like work out in it. You have to deal with your audience in a positive way, in a sincere way. And like Michael said, there's tribalism. There's people who take it personally, but we have this thing today that I call hysteria culture, where everyone is constantly feeling and not thinking. And you're not allowed to just say a thing. Everybody has to take it to the umpteenth magnitude out of proportion. So it's very difficult, but I don't think it's impossible. You know what I mean?
Damien.
That's where the autism kind of
Hello?
struggles, or I struggle with autism a bit, because
I think it's working now.
Oh, you want to jump in, bud?
No, go ahead.
Oh, it makes it difficult to, once the situation gets kind of heated, to say my thoughts properly, because people kind of want this really short, concise answer. But fucking autism, you have like everything's kind of like a stack of cards to a certain, not in a negative way, just you build up on things. And since you build up on things, when you get pressed, you try to run through that stack of things that you've built up to somebody who's not really willing to hear a small part of it. But I like what you said about crowd work, because in a sense, like, a comedian talks a lot of shit, but they also are constantly, at least some of the comedians I've seen, reminding the crowd that, like, hey, like, I love everybody. We're all just having some fun. This is all just some thoughts. I think, like, I have to learn that, the idea of, yeah, I'm saying all this shit, but how do I get it across to everybody that, yo, I love everybody? And that's why, like, history is the grounding subject, because I want to talk about history, but the biggest thing I want to get through when explaining everything is, everybody's beautiful. Like, everybody has rich ass history. Everybody's culture has done some bad stuff. Everybody's culture has done some good stuff. But ultimately, like, if you look through history, everybody's fucking amazing, dude.
And also, they came to the comedy show as well. You got to remember that. You got to expect there to be some give and take. Damien, we have you. You are live. Tell us about you. We're going to go for a few more minutes. We're going to stretch this time out for you.
I think the algorithm loves the fact that me and Heidi are mutuals.
Maybe.
Yeah, so I see her in a space and she gets in a lot of them. Then it
She
signals
sure
to me.
does. She's just a space hog.
Yeah.
Believe me, I've been trying to tone it down, honestly. But yeah. Anyway, how are you?
I'm all right. I just figured out that it was like my VPN and all this stuff that's like messing around. So I think that it should be stable now. I've been doing a lot of design work lately. So I'm kind of like the outlier here because I'm not really a writer, but what I write, I just put to Twitter, to X. But I've been doing a lot of design work, and I was thinking about earlier when you guys were talking about poetry and the state of things, because they were talking about, I think it was like this past couple of weeks, they were saying about like why aren't male writers, like what's happening with men, why aren't men reading and stuff like this, like these discussions that people are having, and I think it's all kind of pointed in the same direction.
To a degree, I would say, if you look at who makes up the majority of the personnel there, and the choices that they're making, I think it's kind of exacerbated the situation to the point where it's like, well, you're not putting things into the market that men want to read. So then it endorses the idea that there are no men that are reading, but we know that there are. Not only are they writing, but they are reading. I just did a what do we call it? Curated. I curated a small sale for the based book sale of alternative history. And, gosh, we don't have the total number of sales, but something over 200 units or something like that sold or were picked up. In addition to like a bunch of other stuff that didn't go through our tracking. So, men are writing, men are reading. It just has to, I think, you have to build up audience and catalog to the point where you hit a critical mass. And then, I think traditional publishing is attractive after that.
So what they were mainly getting at, I think, was more like popular literature or like kind of like cheap paperbacks and things like this, where
I'm making cheap stuff.
Yeah. Like they're saying that like men don't read fiction, basically. Like men will read, but they're not reading fiction. And that was like the main issue. But I have a theory about that. If you guys want to hear it.
Well, this is that chance to do it. Yeah.
Okay. So I remember, I could see it like when I was a kid and I would go to the bookstore and, back then this is all pre-internet in the 80s and stuff. And like, we always had a wall. There was always a wall of men's fiction that was popular literature. It wasn't too complicated. And it was all sort of like where the Ian Fleming kind of stuff came out of, right? Like all the adventure books, not necessarily science fiction and not necessarily Westerns, but more like urban kind of like action and spies and this kind of thing. This is like men's literature for like the masses. And this whole entire genre has completely disappeared from the market because it's basically not politically correct. It's the same reason why little boys aren't playing with toy soldiers these days.
Maybe.
It's like totally not politically correct. And so what happened was, what I saw was that books changed and it became like this thing in the 90s with the Tom Clancy novels. So like it essentially like morphed so that readership would be now these books, right? They became more about the technology and the political intrigue, as opposed to what I believe what was happening in the earlier books. And what is the criticism now is it's like, yes, if you make stuff that men will read it. But in those, if you make something that men want to read, right, they'll read it. But like if the thing about those books, about the earlier stuff, like the Executioner series and where the Dirty Harry books and all that kind of stuff came out of, is that those books always put the man as like the hero and unapologetically, chasing girls, getting in fights and doing all these. It's very like it's the men's version of a romance novel, essentially. And the fact that there has to be any kind of filter, political correct filter, is why that stuff isn't being. Why guys now are not actually they're not, if they just look at it like book sales, because it's not appealing to their sensibilities because of the whole idea of like toxic masculinity. Just the fact that that's like it's inhibiting that. But I also think that there's a lot of stuff in those books where they talk about like justice, right? The issue of justice. It's the same reason why guys want to watch Charles Bronson movies or whatever. It's the same. It's like or like Stallone or something. It's the male as the hero, and that ties me into the question of poetry, right? We were talking earlier about the political thing. Is I'm always thinking of like my standard of poetry as being something like Homer or like classical poetry, not in terms of like more in terms of it's like the vernacular or like the like they would say about Hemingway or something, where it's like direct speaking in very clear contemporary language, and dealing with those sort of timeless themes. And I think that the average like poetry, when you say, oh, I'm a poet or whatever, like there's this sense that the masculinity part of it is kind of like removed. Where if you were to go into the past, poetry was seen as like a masculine, preoccupation.
Yeah, that's not unreasonable. I want to give consumption a chance to reply, and then we're going to wrap it up.
I don't want to say I agree. I just want to say I resonate with that. because I want to hear more of what you have to say about it before I like say I agree with it. But I resonate with that. I make like a lot of my art kind of pushes the boundaries on that, and even kind of pokes fun at even those artists to a certain extent. But um, I don't feel like, especially nowadays, you can like post a picture of a pinup and have an opinion. Like the moment that the pinup goes up, every opinion that you have is now garbage to a lot of people. So, like, that's why pinups are all over everything that I do. Because, and I'll expand on that as you guys get to know me over time. But it's a jab at everyone, both the male toxic side and the female toxic side, and as well as me kind of like affirming like, hey, but I am who I am. Like I like my art, I like this, I like what it relates to, I like what I'm connecting to. So yeah.
Yeah, very good. Well, we usually go for an hour, and we're over that hour. So I'm going to wrap it up for today. But all the same, we'll be back in 2 weeks to talk more about writing, publishing, and authorship. And we'll talk again before too long.